All right. Thank you for joining me today. Would you mind stating your name and your background of coaching that you have done your entire life?
My name is Lucas Selbin. I'm currently the premier FC Denver head coach. I have been for the last 2 years. I've been on the sideline within the club, either a head coach of the United group or helping assisting with the premier group for 5 years now. Prior to that, I've been running my business and still do. I run a coaching academy in Colorado down the I-25 corridor, the Denver metro area, coaching 3 to 14-year-olds all over the city for the past 10 years. Little Feet Soccer, a business I own and operate. Prior to that, I played in college, 2 universities, at Bowling Green State University and a small school outside Chicago, North Central College, and came up through the American club scene, helping coach a little bit after that before taking a break in the Chicago area. Played a pedigree playing. I played for the Houston Texans in Houston, the Hurricanes before that, Pacesetters in Toledo, Ohio, Chicago Magic and Chicago Sockers, Chicago area. I advanced all the way through the U.S. through ODP program to the national pool up until 1996, 1997. I was playing either in the regional team, state team, or in the national pool off and on, traveling. Fortunate enough to get coached by some American names such as Mike Makovich, who went on to coach for the initial Toronto team, MLS. Guys like Glenn Davis, who is a big figure in the Houston Dynamo scene, and Roy Reese, who is was the top coach in the Houston Texans program. He was also a national team coach for a while. So I've been pretty privileged. I did not fully take on coaching men's soccer until I joined with FC Denver. That's been a bit different than coaching kids. We've had a lot of success. We've won state cups. We've done well at the Silver Mug Cup, the premier top level amateur tournament in Las Vegas, and advanced far in that tournament as well. It's been a heck of a ride. It's been a lot of fun. At this point, and I'm licensed with the United States Soccer Federation. So that would be my background.
Wow, it's impressive. I didn't. Wow, that's crazy. Nice done. All right. So how long has Dylan been playing with FC Denver?
Dylan has been playing with FC Denver for 2.5 years, would be my estimation at this point. He started out with United, the second group, very young. He was recognized at tryouts. I recognized him. Marco Del Piccolo, one of our assistant coaches, definitely was the first one to step up and say, this kid's got a future in the club. And Dylan has done very well since. We can get into that later. But yeah, 2.5 years.
Okay.
And I should say he only played one season with United. He's played the last 2
all right,
years with
noted.
Revere.
As a player, you said everybody recognized him at initially at tryouts. How would you say he's improved the time that he initially showed up for the first time, and then since last season ending, not too long ago?
The trajectory of the arc, the development.
Yeah,
Dylan. When we first recognized Dylan, I'm lucky I remember these things pretty well. We take notes on all the players, obviously, at tryouts.
Mm-hmm.
We knew he could strike a ball. We knew he had pace. And we knew he had an edge to him, meaning he wasn't afraid to get stuck in. He was going to challenge guys. If he had space to go, he would. We recognized also he was green. He was young. We couldn't tell how young. Somewhere between the ages of 18 and 22, we knew that, which would make him, at the time, the youngest player in the club. So when we initially evaluated him, we knew he probably had some work to do within the United group. It would be a good testing ground. They needed help at outside back desperately. They needed composure desperately because they had a lot of guys who would work hard, but maybe didn't have the tightest touch, and possession was an issue for them. They needed somebody they needed consistency would probably be the main attribute, and it seemed like Dylan could grow into that role. There was a lot of feedback from the United's coach, Jose, at the time, that he was one of the top players right away. I was fortunate enough to make it out to about half the games that season and saw a steady improvement at the outside back position, which at the time, as far as I know, he hadn't played very much. By the time the first season was over, he was invited to train with the Premier Group. We were preparing for a state cup run. We had moved training locations to Fort Logan, which provided us an opportunity to do some distance running before we jumped into training. It was voluntary. The guys would show up 15, 30 minutes before the start of training and go at their own pace around the field, which was probably about a mile and a half run. For me, distance-wise, that's ideal for soccer training because you can run at a steady clip. It's not marathon-based, long-distance endurance. You can really push and wear yourself out. Combine that with sprints, you get a pretty solid fitness foundation. Dylan stepped up. Point being, Dylan stepped up, and amongst our veteran Premier Group, amongst the United Group, was crushing guys on the run. He was quarter of a mile ahead at times when we come into finish. He was creating a competitive environment for players who needed a spark. It became apparent that Dylan, that type of focus, drive, and energy was needed in the Premier Group, the top group, because we were getting older and we had lost some motivation over the past 2 seasons, just with the repetition of league play, guys' lives developing, getting married, etc., and some turnover with players. So we invited him to scrimmage before the state cup, before the roster was made final. We decided to play him in a very spread out formation, play him at outside mid, and play against Rovers, which is the top men's amateur team last year, according to their standards. They won the men's national amateur championship and played the U.S. Open Cup. We scrimmaged against them, their local rival, and Dylan took it right to them. He was put on the state cup roster. We went on to win state cup, probably our biggest achievement as a team in the club. Dylan was featured heavily in those matches and became a regular. And what set him apart from so many other players, regardless of age or ability, over the past 3 years that I had seen with the Premier Group, was that Dylan was immediately accepted by the rest of the players. It's been a tough road for a lot of young, talented guys who come out of school, even if they played semi-pro, to fit in with our veteran group, because the expectations and the standards that they're held to are really high. Not just that, you have to be able to play with composure. You have to be able to move the ball within the flow that we like to play with. You've got to be able to have your head up, recognize, and be held accountable to some serious expectations from guys who have played at a semi-pro level, played at top Division I schools. And Dylan did that all at a very young age. He embodied a lot of the character of the team and was welcomed openly. He went on to play really well at State Cup. Has been a starter ever since. I can only think of a few occasions where he hasn't started, and it really had very little to do with play. Might have had to do with just being out for a little bit, or a situation that came up with trying to get other guys minutes. He's become a stalwart within the group. Recently, we've moved him into the central position, trying to develop his game further. It's my opinion, you want your best players getting the most touches, and Dylan's an investment for a future in this club as long as he stays around. Long answer. I think I did a good job there.
No, yeah, that was definitely what I like to hear right there. That was actually a lot, yeah. Taking that into note, there along the road there's been quite a bit of family problems, whatever problems may have occurred, whatever. How do you think that has gone into play in how Dylan either uses it for soccer or against soccer? How do you think he takes it in and uses it?
Dylan's a quiet guy, but you can also sometimes you sense an urgency that's there, or a focus is there that other players don't have. There have been guys in the group who have been afraid to possibly talk to him about some of the things going on in the background because they know that he's dealt with a lot. And I think we've all kind of realized if Dylan's going to open up, he's going to open up to us. We've been made aware of a lot of the obstacles he's had to overcome and how he's been able to carry himself through those situations. It's been admirable. There's little that Dylan takes for granted. steps on the field, he's focused. His life, his mentality, what's going on within him is expressed in the way he plays. He's not one to come out until he's so tired that he's going to be a detriment to the team's constant push. He tracks back, he plays with an edge. There are plenty of guys in Denver soccer scene who have achieved and level out motivation wise, but have the ability to still play and do things. There are also a lot of guys who don't have the ability but have the drive. Dylan has an edge and a motivation. He seems to be playing for more. He combines that with an ability. And that, I think, elevates him a lot of times over players who maybe assume they should be given things or respected in a certain way. Dylan will sneak up and surprise them. That type of edge is this type of edge that pushes a player, in my opinion, toward a healthy career. The guys who can play and push and have motivation, find motivation when they're 27, 28, and they've been training year round, touching the ball every day, 5-6 days a week, out on the field playing multiple levels. Dylan carries that consistency and that motivation with him. It's very
Okay. All right. That's thinking of all that. When it comes down to it, and it's March, how do you think he will? How do you think he will? Do you think he'll be 100%? Well, nobody will be 100% ready, honestly. Do you think he'll be mentally and physically prepared, technically, everything that is needed to succeed in international soccer? Do you think? How do you think he'll do there? Will it be a stepping stone, learning block, kind of rerun? Let's start over fresh, learn from here. Or you think he will succeed and possibly branch out from there? How do you see it going down?
I think the most important factor that's going to come into play will be the ability to adapt. The speed of play is going to be greater. Being able to recognize what to do with the ball before you get it is going to be essential. To play quick, tight space, 1 and 2 touch play. Those are the things that I think we're going to take some adjustment. That being said, I do think Dylan has the ability to adjust as a work ethic. That is going to be. I think it'd be risky or false for anybody to assume that they could go overseas, and immediately be able to step up and adjust and fit in to all the variables, style of play, speed of play, like I mentioned, talent level, increase, physicality. There's just going to be a lot of things that Dylan hasn't seen. But he has the tools to achieve that. He's going to need to tighten up his touch. I think that's going to come naturally, because I think necessity is going to breed that. Once you realize you have less space and time, you're going to cherish having that ball close to your feet. You're going to have to force yourself to keep that ball under your body, but have your head up at the same time. I see those things happening. Obviously, I wish him the best when he comes back and plays with us in any fashion or form. I think everything that happens over there is going to benefit way more than anything he could have done here. I think, given his ability to adapt into the situations that I've seen him with our players, I think he can do that there. There are physical guys that we have in our club, guys like Grant, guys like Joel, that he's been able to hang with, who I consider players that could go overseas, especially if they were 21 years old and could move clock back in time. They would have done really well in that situation. And Dylan has a lot of the qualities that he do. So I am confident that Dylan will do well over there. I am confident mainly because if he sees something that he needs to work on, he's going to figure out how to